as we're here just laying down comfortably, I like us to take a moment to just deep breath, to just take a couple of good deep breaths. Even fill your lungs, trying to expand into the fabric on each side. And let those exhales be long and slow and relaxed. When we consciously take extra time to breathe very slowly, this takes us out of the stress state, that fight, flight response where we kind of have to fight for everything and it's us against the world. It takes us out of that state and into a state of greater unity, greater happiness, greater joy, greater peace, and just rest and digest. And so it all starts off with this really good, comfortable, deep breath. Our breath is our friend that flows through us from our first moment of birth all the way to the end. And so as we continue to transform our relationship with our breath, and as we continue during this class to kind of consciously try to slow things down, we imagine that by focusing on that wonderful breath work and relaxation, we're helping to bring our body into a good, comfortable state where joy is even a possibility. Like I mentioned, we're taking ourselves out of that panic state and then toward a state of just happiness, connection, pure joy. It's like that happiness, like a little kid. As the world is beautiful and we're so happy to be here. And so that's the state that we're working for. And we do that today in our class by breathing and by letting ourselves stretch all over the body, some of those spots that tend to be those tight spots for us. And so with these ideas to rest in the back of the mind to carry us toward a nice conscious class, let's begin some of our initial movements. We'll start off stretching the arms all the way to the back wall and let the ribs go and the shoulders go right and left. So it's a huge lateral leaning to each side. It's like we're creating a banana to one side and then to the other. Maybe even include your breath. Maybe an inhale when you go through the center, and a nice exhale to one side. And then continuing to switch. And notice what's tight for you right now. What is it that's wanting to be eased into? Good. Eventually returning back toward the center. And then from here, we'll start moving into our legs, starting to stretch some of those areas a bit. So right knee into the chest, hug hands around that right knee, and let yourself start to feel that right hip flexor. Sometimes here, I'll even roll my ankles out. Sometimes we hold tension there, and we didn't even realize it until we sit still and listen. Good. So when you're ready, sooner or later, let yourself stretch right leg up to the sky. You can have hands on the back side of the leg, wherever it's comfortable to reach. Leg is trying to extend as straight as possible. And then we're thinking of setting up essentially like a pigeon pose while we're here laying on our back. So this right foot, cross it over to the left past the fabric, and then that right ankle hooks on that back left side. Once you've got the hook, bend the knee and continue to slide the shin in toward the chest. I'll kind of hook my arm around that shin to pull it in. What this does is set that right hip up in a good hip opening. Breathe into the space that you're feeling. And start to free out this right leg, give it maybe another extension up to the sky, and then drop the right foot all the way down. We'll start working on left side. Bring the knee in, hug around the knee. Maybe do some of those ankle rolls. When you're ready, extend the leg upward, grabbing on wherever it's easy and comfortable to reach. Let this extension of this left leg be upward. Good. As we prepare for that hip opener, we're continuing to pull this left leg back as far as we can. Cross it over to the right side and hook the heel clear on that back right edge. Once you've hooked it, then you can slide the shin into the chest, setting it up like pigeon pose, but we're just laying on our back. It's up to you to pull it into the perfect degree. The amount that feels just right, not too much, not too little. Good. Take a beautiful inhale. Exhale, free out this leg, extend it super high up to the sky. Then we can drop it all the way down. Once it's dropped, start to kick the feet free off the front. We're back at the knees. Gripping up on the fabric, that helps us sit up tall. Come to sit. Okay. And here we're gonna head to our first inversion. So this one heads us backwards. Those of you that are new, just watch me one step at a time. So the thumbs, you can hook the thumbs on this back edge of the fabric. And then you're trying to keep the fabric pushed down clear to the back side of the pant line. If it's a lot higher, it tends to be more uncomfortable for the waist. So once you got it kind of pushed to that spot, lean halfway back. It's like a tabletop spine, like a tabletop, you know, when you're like on the yoga mat. And then grip back up high so that you've got that safety measure. Beautiful. And if it starts to slide up, you can always reset that part. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you're ready to go upside down, the idea is straighten your legs. And then as you start to slide your hands down, let the legs go wide. Wide means you won't fall out. And then wrap your ankles and you'll be safe. Yep, and then slide your hands down. Yep. Yep, continue to tilt back. And legs wide. And the idea, eventually wrap your ankles all the way around. It could be too high up on your back still. Yeah. It's like literally where, like, maybe your pants are a little bit higher than mine, but yeah, try to push it maybe to the back side of the, like not sitting bones, but the back side of the hips, that area. Yeah, and then lean back so it locks it in place right there. Good. Yep. And then, yep, that looks really good. Yep. You got one foot hooked and then the other. Good. And then you just, yep, and then you just let go.
Let go.
Yep.
This is trust.
I know. You can use the ground. So the idea is let your spine have as much length as possible. Try to release your core, release the abdominal muscles. And like I mentioned earlier, don't feel like this is a competition. For those of you that this is maybe your first inversion since you were a little kid, maybe your body's not quite used to a lot of time here, so don't feel like you have to stay for anybody else. Only to that point where your body's like, okay, I think I'm good, then you're welcome to just come up. But until that point, feel free to just enjoy it. So grab by your inner thighs, that fabric that's inner thigh. Yep. And then once you've got the grip, then you can unwind the legs. Just kind of pop right back up. So grip a little bit higher, like by your knees. Now look up at your belly button. That'll help you.
With the thumbs or with the?
With your whole hand. Look up toward your belly and then reach. Yeah. Kind of grab it like a little bit higher by your knees. That'll help you. Yeah, that's it. That's it. And then just unwind the ankles and you'll pop right up. I know it's a moment of trust. Yeah. So continue to send that leg behind you. Yep. Yeah, not up the back. Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's okay. That's okay. So look up toward your belly. You're going to be your part. Perfect. Up for your ankles. Oh, wow. You just you need it. Good. So we always take this recovery moment whenever you are up. If you're still upside down, you're welcome to enjoy it. No rush. But this recovery pose here is floating child. So just keep the elbows hooked so that you can safely just lean forward for a little while, get some blood pressure regulated back in your body. So kind of listen to your body. Sometimes this first inversion, we're feeling good. If you ever get to the point in later inversions in class where you just want to skip them, your body still needs to build up to it. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. This is us listening to our experience so that we can build up eventually to those good inversions. Inversions basically have benefits for every part of our body. Good. So if I ever move on before your body says that it's okay, just stay, and there's nothing wrong with that. That'll kind of be your way of just completely catching up, making sure that everything still feels good. But when we do feel like we're doing okay, we think we want to head to our next thing, what we're going to do here is take a twist. So let's all bunch up our hands onto our right side of the fabric. Once you're holding onto that right side, we're going to twist into that side. You're going to continue to open up the back arm so it's to the back wall, going away from me. That side. There you go. And then that back arm circles all the way around your head to grab onto the fabric there. And then you're able to set up a nice little twist. That hand that's behind your head, send it to the wall behind you again. And let's try to ease into that shoulder a little bit. So this could either be an up and then a down motion with that arm, or it could be bringing the arm in front of your body and then opening it back out behind your body. Maybe you do a few rounds of each, but we're trying to ease into some of those shoulder muscles, making sure the shoulders are feeling pretty good. Good, and then when we're ready to release, let's take the twist to the second side. So bunch up the fabric first. And then the arm that's to the back wall, open it up. And then circle that hand behind the head to grab on, setting up for that nice final twist. In twists, I like to say, listen to your body for what is helpful. So think of this as more about the muscles trying to open than to try to force the vertebrae into any spot. I know some people, chiropractors, don't really like it when yogis try to force their spine too far. That can be detrimental, but instead we're sticking to this perfect amount. It's like that Goldilocks zone. That's where the true joy remains. Good, so then that back arm opens up to the back. And then let's play with that shoulder a little bit. So maybe it's going forward and backward or up and down. Ease into any of those muscle groups that the shoulder is saying needs some attention for a moment. One more full breath cycle. Good. And then from here, I want you to bunch up the fabric to the side that faces you toward me. So you can stay and then you guys just switch. Good. So lock your arms straight. the hip that's getting lifted from this, that leg swings up and over so that you end up straddling the fabric. Sometimes it takes a couple of tries the first time, so no rush if you're taking a moment. That's perfectly fine. Yep, you got it. And then when you make it in, go ahead and bring both heels into the inside of the fabric. Extend the legs out. Second side also, extend it out. And this is a good place to note how even you are inside of your fabric. Sometimes we end up completely lopsided where all the fabric is to one side and then there's hardly any to the other side. So if that's the case, you can always readjust by bringing your feet to the perfect spot and then lift your hips up and scoot more of the fabric to the one side that needs it. But it doesn't have to be perfect today. Today it won't really affect our poses. But it's good to note so that way when we're taking our fabric into our hands, when we're heading in, we can get just that perfect amount. So now from here, sitting up tall, engage your core, spine's trying to go straight. And then hands press outward into the fabric. Our legs are spreading open nice and wide. So give it a couple of good breaths. This is good for shoulder strength and also that beautiful inner thigh stretch. We'll slide our right hand down the right leg. And then left arm also circles all the way up and over to that side. Good, rising up, let's switch directions. So left hand down left leg, and then right arm also joins to that side. Beautiful. When we rise back up, let's bring the bottoms of both feet to touch. So it's kind of like the idea of cobbler pose. Good, and I love this as a nice little meditative seat. So give yourself a chance to either rest the back of the head backward or rest the forehead forward. And begin to let your breath just flow. Comfortable, relaxed. Switching our mindset toward joy is as easy as finding a memory that brings joy and then finding that feeling that arises and just growing that feeling. Like our body already knows what it feels like. So think of a moment in your life when you've been very happy. Imagine it's almost like you plant that seed and continue to water it, and that seed starts to grow. Enjoy one more good sip of breath in. With a nice exhale, let's start to kick our feet free off the front. So off to each side. Good. And we'll take a couple of last leg stretches while we're still inside right here. So the leg that's facing toward the front of the room, you're going to take that leg up so that we've got the ankle kind of hooked right onto that fabric in front of you. Sometimes I'll bunch up the whole fabric so that I can bring the ankle all the way across. Good, once we've got that there, the idea is to ease into that hip, whichever one it is for you. So if it's pretty intense already, I can push into the fabric with my arms, that'll lessen the intensity. If I do the opposite, start to release my arms, that'll deepen the intensity. If you want even more, hug around it and pull your heart in. We'll head from this toward the hamstring stretch. So I like to do this one, bunching the fabric up, and then I stamp the arch of my foot into the fabric that's in front of me, the toes turning outward. So it's the arch of the foot that's trying to hold on. Once I'm there, extend the leg upward as high as it wants to go. And then same thing, if I'm holding on with my hand and pushing, that'll lessen the intensity. If I start to back my hand away, that'll deepen the intensity. And if you don't want to go all the way, you can also have a slight bend to the knee or straightening. You can work on releasing as many muscle groups as possible. You kind of choose your journey. What's the best spot for your body right here? A nice inhale. Exhale, free this leg back where it was. Second ankle will come up. This one's that hip opener, so if you need to push into it, that's fine. If you need to relax or even hug around it and pull your heart in, any of these are beautiful. Start to head to the hamstring, so stamp the arch of the foot there and slide it up. One more deep inhale. And with our exhale, you'll bring this foot that's up right next to the first foot. So this will start to face us forward. Your hips will be off center, so just kind of shift left, right, left, right, left, right until you're facing all the way forward again. Good. So from here, we're gonna head toward vampire pose. Those of you that are familiar and comfortable with vampire, go ahead and go into it. If this is your first time with it, go ahead and watch. So watch the whole thing first, and then I'll vocally do the steps again so that you can just follow them step by step. So the first thing I need to do is get my shoulders situated just perfectly. You want this back part of the fabric to cover the shoulders like a little cap sleeve. It doesn't want to be too much where there's like a bunch of fabric bunched up at the neck. I promise that would be uncomfortable. But you get just enough to cover the whole shoulder like a cap sleeve, and that tends to be just that perfect amount. So once I've got that, I'm scooting all the excess fabric down to my waist, and then I'm laying back. And then when I step my feet in, I step at the edge of it for a moment, and then I lift up my hips so that all the stuff that I bunched up to my waist, I can straighten my legs out and send it all to my toes. So once I got this, I've got my shoulders perfect. This is what's going to be holding my weight. So then I reach my hands to the back end. It's just a comfortable grip up. My feet come up. They can be inside or outside the fabric, doesn't matter. But I'm pushing my feet out into the fabric. And the part that I'm pushing into is where I'm bunching the fabric up with my hands. So I'm not going super far behind or it'll start to slide back. I'm just pushing directly into that spot with kind of the sides of my feet. And then by pushing, I can engage my core and start to slowly rise all the way upside down. Okay? So I'll walk you through it again step by step. So get that just the edge of the fabric and start to cover your shoulders like a cap sleeve. You got it. Maybe a little bit more over your shoulders. Yeah, that looks maybe slightly less. Right in between what you just did. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Good. And just like what she's doing, get all the excess with your elbows to push it down to your waist. That's good. Like you kind of like bring your elbows out wide so you can, like not on the outside, but on the inside, and kind of just push it. Yeah. So you still got just that one little amount to cover right up at the neck. Good. That looks perfect. So now with that extra down at the waist, start to lean back. Your head should be off the back end. You should still have plenty over your shoulder. Good. Cover your shoulders a little bit more. Yeah, you do want it to completely be over it. Yeah, that looks great. Okay, so now this is that point where you'll step your feet into that end. And then before you straighten the legs, you want to lift your hips up like a bridge pose. And then when you kick the legs straight, that'll get all the excess fabric down to your feet. Yep. Go ahead and step in closer again to get, you still got some benched up by your waist. Yep. And then lift up again. Yep. And then straighten. Yep, that was it. Okay, perfect. So then from here, take a comfortable grip with your hands all the way up. Good. And then feet come up. And it's on the inside. Yep, push that spot right above where your hands are. The outer parts of the feet, so like kind of keep the feet flexed. Like right above where your hands are. So go in a little bit more. Yep. Yeah, that's fine. Good. Good. Perfect. You're safe to go up now. Start to push. No, your feet in a little bit. Yep. And then push it out into that spot. Yep. But you found the spot and then just stick it there. Yep. And push outward to keep it stuck there. Because you were saying it does slip. It does slip if you don't have it far enough in. So like hike it your toes in even deeper, even if you have to bend knees to get there. Yep. So think of the spot right above your hand. So you're going like right here. Further. Yep, just like that, yep. And push out and then rise up. That's it. How are you at? So, yep, coming out is just like that. That's all you have to do, just lower back down. And you can, if you're still going into it, you can even bring your hips higher.
And then this, so what's supporting you?
The shoulders. Yep.
You know, too high in the neck.
Okay, so that'll be come down and then get some more fabric down. That's, yeah, it's good to get that first chance to just kind of, so right now your shoulders are not in at all. Yeah. Yep, there you go. Oh yeah, so much better. Yeah. Nice, because the body weight is the massage that's going on. We're using our own body weight to help us out. Our friend has come back. I guess it was just for a moment. Still hold on, yep. When you're ready to come down, just lower your hips back. You can bring your head back inside. I can tell. I'll make some inversion addicts out of you guys. Isn't it so fun though? It's like being a little kid again. So if you're still upside down, go ahead and take your last 2 or 3 breaths and then feel free to head on out. Just like before, we're taking some time to recover. So this could be the Shavasana recovery, head just resting inside. At any point that you feel like it might be safe to start sitting up, you can begin to kick your feet off the front so that we can rise up. Sometimes when we get to this part, there's like a moment where it's like, okay, I still need to, recover just a bit more. So feel free to pause, there's no rush. We'll take a moment with the shoulder stretch so that those that are still recovering can still take their time just getting blood back to their head. So for this shoulder stretch, clasp the hands behind your back. And then you'll shift the hands over to the right hip. Once you've got the hands there, posture is tall, and then lean the right ear over the right shoulder. This will get a really exaggerated stretch over the left side. Good, and we'll start to switch. So head comes up, hands over to the left hip, and then left ear over left shoulder. One more breath in and out. And as you're checking in with yourself, if you still need some more seated time, that's okay. If you're ready to come out, we come out by bunching up the fabric and then lifting our hips all the way up and out. That's a nice safe way so that we don't kind of face dive or anything. So now leave the fabric over your shoulders like a backpack. We're gonna wrap the arms around, so give it a huge hug, circle around above the head, and then continue the circle that direction. And then 1 or 2 more times before we grip on. Usually I can just get 1 more, good. And then we'll start to circle our hips around like a hula hoop. So we start off by gripping on tight and then sinking our hips as far back behind us as we can. So legs are straight and the torso is straight, but it's the hips that are the bend. And then start to circle hips to one side. Maybe you pause, or maybe you continue to go all the way to the back bend forward. Continue to circle the other way and around. So take this as fast or as slow as your body wants. Literally, you can just pause and hang out on one side for a while and then the other. At some point, sooner or later, your hands will be ready for a break. So when you need that, come up and just wiggle your fingers for a moment. And after you've taken a break, you can start circling to the other direction. So you get both sides. Again, fast or slow, you choose that perfect pace. Sooner or later, when you're ready for another break, completely free your hands out. We'll shake them, open and close the fists, and let's even come all the way behind. Good. So this will be a super light grip of the hands on the fabric. That way it'll still give our hands some recovery. And then we'll start to extend the upper body forward, the hips go backward. This can be straight legs, you can bend your knees, you could sway left and right a little bit, have some freedom to play with the ribs or the shoulders or the hips, depending on exactly how you wiggle. And then bending the knees, let's roll all the way up. From here, let's take our right ankle inside the fabric. We want to make sure we're not standing too far back. So when you gaze up, it should be, 3 or 4 inches. Your head should be right behind that plumb line. So if you're further back, go ahead and hop forward. And then the first thing we'll do here is slide the hands down. This brings the heart a little bit closer to that thigh, so you'll start to feel that hamstring already super alive for us. Good. When we rise up, we're going to start stretching through the right shoulder, kind of like how we did before. So take your left hand onto your right strand and grip on. That'll help you have lots of safety. Your right arm starts forward. You begin to circle it up and then circle it all the way to that space behind you. And then return all the way forward, reverse rainbow. Let's go 2 more of those. And then the next time the arm is back, pause for just a little bit longer. Maybe continue to rotate that shoulder open, kind of squeezing the shoulder blades together. Good. Then reverse the rainbow to come back. Grip really high on each side. And then taking a splits forward, start to sink some of your weight. You'll know exactly the right spot based on how it feels, so it doesn't have to be much. Good. Take your weight back over your standing leg. And then we'll open for you guys, it'll be to the back door. You're gripping both hands on the left side, turning your left toes to that left side. And then once you're facing that direction, you'll slide your left hand up and your right hand down. So this feels kind of like triangle pose, super open for the ribs. Good, and you get to choose. If this is the perfect amount of stretch for your thighs and your legs, this is great. If you want to continue to sink weight forward toward mirrors, that's beautiful as well. One more deep breath in. And then exhale, squeeze in your thighs until you're back over standing leg. Grip high on each side. Rotate your feet to face forward. And here you've got 2 options to switch sides. You're welcome to just step this foot out, step the other ankle in, or this swinging switch. The biggest cue I can give you is don't bend the leg that's in the fabric. If you bend, nothing bad will happen, but it will turn into a swing with both of your legs forward. So if you keep it straight instead, then all we have to do is step the second leg in and the first leg out. That's okay, next time it's fine. Okay, so whenever you've got that second leg, the first one is sliding hands down. We're bringing the heart closer to the thigh. Starting to rise up. The right hand grips the left side. The left hand is free, so we can do those 3 rainbows. Circle up, and then back, and then return. 2. Last one. Good. On that last one, you can stay. Continue to try to squeeze shoulder blades together a little bit. That helps that shoulder continue to open. Good. Gripping both hands, one on each side. This one's a higher grip, and so that we can leave the leg straight and continue to sink forward towards splits. Good. Weight over the standing leg. This time both hands grip onto the right side. We turn the right toes to the right. And then left hand down, right hand up. You got it. You want to sink more weight forward, you're welcome to. You don't have to. One more deep inhale. Exhale, come back. We're gripping one hand on each side, facing forward. You can just step this foot out, or if you want to try just one more swinging switch just for the fun of it. Step one foot out, the other foot in. Got it. Beautiful. So once we're there, we'll be all the way out. So go ahead and step in. Okay. Here's straddle back inversion. So those of you that know it, go ahead and head right on into it. Straddle back is just like the first one that we did, where the fabric was right behind our waist and then we did the legs wide to wrap it around. It's just like that, only instead of sitting all the way inside of it with the fabric all the way down our thighs, this one's just going to be fabric on this low part of our back, all bunched up. So maybe watch one first and then I'll guide you through it again. So fabric's all bunched up together. Make sure it's just your thumbs that are sliding in. If you get all your fingers, that'll make it really hard to get them all out. So yeah, just the thumbs. And I'm pushing down just like before, so it's on the kind of the sacral area. This one, you don't want it high into the waist because it's really hard to tilt back, but right across sacrum. So not too high, not too low. And go ahead and switch your fingers. So you ended up with all your fingers on the inside, so switch into them. Yeah, you had it right the first time, yeah. Okay, so then when I'm heading into it, I can step one foot back, and that'll make it so that, I'm actively keeping the fabric there, but I can bend my knees to start putting some weight into the fabric. So once I'm there, 2 or 3 tiny steps will bring me back under plumb line, so that my hands go high. I can bring my knees wide, and then wrap my ankles around. As soon as you've got that wrap, you're safe to let go. Yep, right ahead if you feel good. Knees wide. Yep, and then wrap the ankles. That's it. And then you're safe. So hands can let go. Good. You guys are awesome. So just like before, feel free to relax. Those of you that know variations, feel free to take them. These inversions that we've done today are some of the common ones that you'll see in most, if not all, classes. And so these are good ones to cover this first time, so that you guys are very comfortable with them. See how slowly you can keep the toes coming to the mirror though. Walk the hands up and just slowly backwards into it. Slow. Lean back so that your shoulders are covered. Good. If anybody is still upside down, that's fine. Whenever you're ready to come up, we'll come to this nice recovery pose, stargazer. This gives us a chance to get the blood back into the head. This is one of our last moments before Shavasana as well, our final resting pose. So you've got a couple of options based on what your body needs today when you are in this shape. If anybody is here for a shoulder stretch, you can cross one arm using the fabric and then just the other wrist helps to pull it in. That would be a good shoulder stretch. Spend some time for each side. If anybody wants to get more into the hips and the low back, walk forward like you're sitting in an invisible chair and then release all your abdominal muscles to just kind of pull the spine heavy. Here you can do different things like tilting the knees side to side or taking one of your ankles up to the other thigh. Just anything that eases into the spots that feel tight in your body. Even kind of frog leg circles. This will be pretty much just as long as your armpits can still handle it. When it starts to feel like the blood is getting cut off, you'll just walk yourself backwards until you're standing all the way up on your own. No rush because this is your last pose, so you guys just enjoy it however long you wish. When you are happy and you're out, you can start heading to Shavasana. Some people like the grounded Shavasana after being up so much, and some people like to head on back in, so you'll wave the fabric out all the way to the top edge. Good, and you'll hook your thumbs, got 5 or 6 grips, and then head on in. Yeah, if you need to restart, there's nothing wrong with that. Here we'll initiate the slow process of coming back out. Just start by deepening your inhales and your exhales. Introduce tiny movements back to fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. And sometimes I'll do little stretches of the arms toward the back wall, wiggling shoulders left and right. In the fabric, you can also do a fetal position. You'll have to keep your body long and just rock one hip to stack on top of the other hip. Once you're there, you can curl the knees into the torso, curling in like a tight little ball, and then arc the spine all the way back a few times. Kind of going back and forth. If you're on the ground, you're welcome to take a normal fetal position. Maybe give it 5 or 6 more breaths until sooner or later you feel ready to rise. When you're ready, we'll gently make our way up. And we'll find our hands together in front of the heart. Here we take a moment to reconnect to that idea of joy. Allowing ourselves to really feel, give ourselves permission to be happy. To recall the things that make us grateful and even joyful. And in that way, by us just feeling better, the people that we interact with for the rest of the day also start to rub off some of that joy. We start to turn into a world of joy. So with this idea to lead us on into a marvelous rest of this day, let's wrap up the time we got to share together with the sound of Om. Deep inhale now. May we be filled with light and happiness and peace. Namaste.